Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
There are three things locally here, great things locally, that I want to talk about that were content-rich yesterday. And I also want to talk about everything that happened with Luka, because that's like how great sports and stories can be, and why sports grab us that way. But I have to start with how yesterday's show ended with Stugotz. The show ends, and Stugotz looks at me and says, I think I'm going to miss tomorrow. I'm getting sick. This was after, in the last segment, him loudly rummaging through his bag for lozenges because he's falling apart after, I think, 7 or 8 months off. And 2 days in to his heroic return, he says 2 things. 1, I don't think I'm coming in tomorrow. I don't feel well. And 2, I will never forgive you for not getting to Greg Cody's topic that he loves to clean toilets.
Wow.
And then today he comes in because he's like, I had to come in, play through sickness, because I need to get to that Greg Cody likes to clean toilet story and Masters Week, Dano. Yeah. But then, right before the show starts, he's not feeling well and he walks out again. So he's not here right now, but he'll be returning shortly. I'm confident of that, right? He would not drive all the way over here and then just drive home sick, correct? He's inefficient, but he's not that inefficient.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, is he just going to be watching the show like Nico did the entire Lakers game last night?
See if
you
just
can
from
find
the tunnel.
him.
See if you can find him in the garage if he's smoking a cigarette while trying to get healthy. Or see if you can find him in the eating area. He's around here somewhere. And there are 3 good local stories to get to. Tony, thank you for looking for him. That search
I didn't see him there, Dan.
That search was a comprehensive one.
Yeah.
We have cameras.
We got cameras.
Detective
I mean,
is back.
it's just more eyes on than anything. I'm just making sure I don't, you know.
So
Real gumshoe.
Before we get to any of it, though, okay, because I really do want to talk about that Luka stories. We're losing the stories, and a guy that we don't actually really know because he's from another country, Dallas knows him, but that we don't actually know, wiping tears from his eyes because he's still crying after scoring and then goes for 45. Like, I really do want to talk about this in a way that is like, man, sports are the best. But before we get to Inter Miami and before we get to Tyler Hero taking a bad shot that's a great shot. It's a bad shot that I love shot.
Yeah, it's a bad shot because he missed it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I just love it that the sport is there now. That it's like, no, we got to get. And we all sort of understood. Yeah, take the open
sport
three.
is not there, by the way. This office is there. The rest of the world was like, come on, why did you take that shot?
Contextually, I think the shot that he made right before that, it was like, oh, he's feeling it, he's heating up. And so, like, he gets an uncontested pull-up 3 after forcing a turnover. You're like, okay, it's kind of like the Jimmy Butler situation, which with a much worse player, pulling up in a 3 in Chicago. I could have been waking up from a coma 3 years ago and been informed that the Miami Heat have a huge regular season game that determines play-in seeding against the Chicago Bulls at this exact moment in time. For 3 consecutive years, I could have repeated that process, and nothing would have changed.
Well, I'm going to get to that story because there are three meaty ones here locally. Because Inter Miami, we've got the best soccer player in the world here, and it should be like really celebrated all the time. Not yesterday's topic where I'm looking at David Sampson and he's telling me how not important Luis Suarez is in Miami, and he's just not qualified to talk about any of these things.
White guy.
Secret sauce.
By the way, Dan, Secret Sauce made a huge, huge statement in the national championship game.
I will get to these other stories, but I wanted to begin with the plague that is Tyreek Hill. And this is convenient for me to do this now, I will admit it, because I've spent a couple of years celebrating, he's fast and great. And he's also dangerous to women and children, and has been almost the entire time we've known him. And maybe there's a he said, she said of some sort in another incident involving Tyreek Hill. And I'm guessing, by the way, that if he's getting caught this much, he's probably not getting caught every time something like this happens. So you can go he said, she said, but the man has proven to be dangerous to women and children, and we've known it for a long time. Like, that part has not been any kind of secret. We've forgiven it because he's fast and great at football, and he rose right to the top of football. And he's a menace who, even if there's another side to what happened this time, what about all the other times that you just can't be trusted to be mature, not reckless, foolish? And it happened so much that I'm embarrassed by the way we've covered him in retrospect. Because this happening again with an actual baby, a laptop thrown allegedly, wife filing for divorce kind of on the spot, bruise on her chest, don't know how it got there. None of you were surprised by any of those details, not a one. You believe all of them, and you wonder what's being hidden there. And while he was wronged outside the stadium before a game, you've seen him and heard about him enough around women and children that you know him to be dangerous and reckless in all facets of his life. Like, you know enough information about why is there a fire at his house? Why, like, there's just a general recklessness there that I'm assuming will get him traded soon, and he will get a fresh start somewhere else. Because as important as he is to the Miami Dolphins, that sport's hard. There's a lot of miles on that. And last year looked like the future of Tyreek Hill. And what does he look like if he's not faster than everyone else in the league? Does everyone allow him to play despite him being dangerous to women and children?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. His trade value, I think, is cratering because of his age, because of the incidents that you mentioned, because of the bad season he's coming off, where his speed no longer seemed extraordinary. The year before it did. Last year it didn't.
But look at what it forgives. What the speed forgives is pretty brutal, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, I know I'm woke and moralist guy, and yeah, I'm here to show you all my virtue. I know. And I'm telling you on the front end, I've covered this person poorly. Like, obviously poorly. And it started as soon as he got here, right? There was supposed to be a trade. He was going to get here to become a star. He was going to do our podcast. I was going to do his. Sure, that'd be great. That'd be lovely. I'm also going to ask some questions about these things. Oh, never mind. Welcome to how media and athletes interact as athletes take over and athletes get the power everywhere because they can turn on a microphone and their fandom is huge. Mm-hmm. And welcome to the trades all the media will make to buy all of the athletes who have all of those microphones and run off the people who were on television telling you woke and Disney's woke morally. Man, Tyreek Hill, this is a moral one, isn't it? Just trading all of your convictions about what an athlete should be as a person in exchange for very obvious speed. So overt to the eye, it can't be denied. Faster than anyone in the league. Forgives everything. Forgives bruises on your wife's chest as she files for divorce. And I say all of this, it's allegedly yesterday, but we could do this. We know all of this is true. He's dangerous. We have enough information. We don't. He can keep trying to rehabilitate himself, and football and sports will enable him because we made him a star here. You think ego and immaturity is going to go down when we make you a star?
Even when you include the times where the perception is he was wrong, even when we've kind of deduced, no, he was wronged in this instance, there is still a pattern of behavior that you can't ignore. constantly being found in bad situations, even when he's innocent. Like things like his house catching on fire while he's a victim there. You wonder what is going on in this life. What does this person's life look like? And it's been the case before you acquired him. And it's been ever present while he was here, while he was being voted by his peers to be the top player in the league. It is curious, though, that the Flames seem to get higher the second that arrow starts pointing down. And I'm just saying that.
Agreed, and I'm guilty of it.
As someone that's riding sidecar here on this Dolphin thing.
Mike, I'm looking in a mirror here, and I do not like what I see. Like, I have not talked like this about him, and it's easier to do when he's not that good anymore. Like, I feel like an asshole, too. I'm not even sitting here. I'm not hitting you with self-righteous here. Like,
you're owning up to it. But what naysayers will say is, like, you're owning up to it now. Awfully convenient when he's dipping.
Buddy, but that's what the moral conundrum is. And you sat out the Deshaun Watson Browns, and that's I was amazed that you did it. You made a moral stand, and you made it publicly, and you were right. I didn't do it that way. Well, this is part of the problem, is it not? Like, that even a voice like me, allegedly progressive, will dance on the line of wherever it is that you find, well, he really helps my team. He makes me feel good. He's interesting to cover. A regional team for 25 years that hasn't won a playoff game in a longer drought than anyone but the Raiders. A team I've seen over the course of Greg Cody and my lifetime go from the winningest franchise in sports, a source of pride throughout the country, to a regional sports team that does not matter at all, nationally, and doesn't for a quarter century.
I'm just trying to speak for parts of the audience, though. I made the decision that I made with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. I have plenty of friends that were Browns fans that continue to tough it out. I don't judge them at all. I don't judge anybody that has a Tyreek Hill jersey. I really don't. I know it's complicated. In all facets of life, in art and in sports, you're going to be faced with these conundrums, and you're going to be hypocritical with a lot of them. Not every generation has been faced with these kinds of moral conundrums as pendulums in society swing. It's a complicated thing. I don't really fault anybody for it. I would say that we could have deduced from allegations, convictions, deals that were made, suspensions, reporting that's been done, even before he entered the league while he was still in college. We could deduce this guy ain't great. He's not a good guy. He's certainly a good football player. He's an elite football player. But that's something that every Dolphin fan or football fan has to deal with on their own, I think.
Mike, I think every generation has had bad athletes. It's just now the rise of social media, now the rise of the media. You can open your phone and see them tweeting or them putting up a podcast.
Societal sensitivities have also shifted, too.
Sure, but I'm sure there was a lot of bad guys.
It's always been bad to abuse women.
No. I understand that. And, like, our knowledge of it has been, like, totally, to Tony's point with social media, has been way amplified. There were guys that I was rooting for on the cover of Sports Illustrated that had that stuff surrounding them that I just flatly didn't know had that kind of stuff surrounding them because of the nature. We didn't have the same kind of access. So I do think that our generation is faced with a particularly unique challenge with how transparent and visible these things are.
Well, this goes back to college, of course, with Tyreek abusing women and recidivism. What's the word? Recidivism.
That's a tough one.
That's a
You
tough
okay?
one.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens, right? It's a real thing. It's why people who are in jail tend to go back to jail. And he gets no benefit of doubt now. That's the only thing I feel a little bit uncomfortable about now. When his house catches on fire, that's not necessarily him doing a bad thing. Last year before the season opener, when the cops stop him and he's in handcuffs before the Dolphins game, because of his past, you assume that he did something wrong. That's the first instinct. It turns out he didn't. The cops apparently were overly aggressive. In this case here, his wife files for divorce. He apparently did something wrong, but we're looking with a magnifier at this. Okay, there's usually two sides to a divorce. I'm not apologizing for whatever he did or whatever his wife says he did, but because of his past, he gets no benefit of doubt. I'm not saying he should, but that's the situation he's in, and that's a situation that he's built for himself.
If I may, in the middle of what Greg Cody said there, again, his voice is a disaster.
I got my water.
Somehow
though.
better today, though.
He
I got
said
my water
he
working.
tried to say recidivism,
Yeah.
didn't do it correctly, but also didn't define it for the audience, really. So it was just a word said poorly that many people don't know.
Oh.
Just really poor communication
Give a stray
overall.
word. All those. I was like, whoa,
Yes,
where'd that come
so
from?
what-
Very breathy.
It is the inability to stop being a serial offender or
Right.
mistake maker.
Ah,
if you're a
gotcha.
recidivist.
Yes.
So yeah, I know
Thank
you know
you.
it's obvious,
Right.
but it may not be. It's
Yeah. I thought it was a common word.
put
My
it on
bad.
the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you know the word recidivist?
And can you pronounce it?
The thing that I wanted to go back on is just in the middle of everything that you just said, and honest to God, it would be dark funny if it weren't the opposite of that. Just the phrase, when his house catches fire. Like, and just in the middle of what has been Tyreek Hill's time here, there's a house catching fire, and we're all like, yeah, it does look like something that could happen to him.
Even when there isn't foul play, there's weird things surrounding this guy's life. IG influencer injuring herself while they're doing football drills, and a
Breaking her leg, right?
Yeah, a house catching on fire and getting pulled over and handcuffed before a game. There's just an undeniably weird, strange pattern of behavior, and that's the stuff that isn't technically breaking the law.
Okay, and it's also the stuff that's spilling out into public, right? The house has to catch fire before you know it's on fire on the inside. Like, we all get to see it once it catches fire. But let's just examine for a moment everything in the last 4 years as the Kansas City Chiefs let this person go and lost wildly exciting offense. This person, when he was in Kansas City, said we're going to win 7 championships, and we could see it from there. Like, if you're going to play offense like that, and Tyreek Hill's always going to be behind the defense, and Travis Kelce is going to become that, Tyreek Hill leaves to become a star here, and does so. And does so with a great deal of cheerleading locally from the starved fans and journalists who were very excited to have a football team matter. And so in the places where the system falls on the woman, because I told you, Anna Kendrick has done a great movie, a horror flick on Netflix, that the greatest danger to women by far is just men, just the way that we are, clumsy and violent and repressed and damaged, and everything that you've seen happen in this country between men and women when it doesn't really seem like men love women. It feels like a lot of times men hate women. Domestic abuse is an enormous problem throughout our country. And Tyreek Hill, somebody that we knew, Mike just said, not a good guy. Do you know how infrequently? Sports television does not have that. Sports radio does. Good guy, bad guy. Like, just say, that's a bad person, a bad human being. Like, that's not something you see a lot in sports coverage. Coming in here, we were all part of Tyreek Hill's cleanup. And when I say we, you too, Max. Like, you too, Max. You cleaned up Tyreek Hill on Hard Knocks for us. Because you told the story of, oh, look at how lovely it is with him and his wife, and how beautiful it is that he's married. And nowhere do you see when he's on a live stream saying if in another life he'd be a porn star. He really wants to be a porn star. That this
And a police officer.
this is a person. This is a person that we have seen all of this play out in public. He has become a star. He's become a star in Miami. He represents the city, and he represents this city this shitty.
And he's one of the few guys that have been subject to, I don't even know if Greg wrote the Go Get 'em column for Tyreek Hill, but Greg is a long-time columnist that has covered this team. You know how infrequently the big swing for the major NFL-proven superstar never really connects for the Miami Dolphins. It never fails. And this market rallied around him after that electric first season.
Right.
And they were convinced of all the NFL films, whitewashing of this is a changed man and all that, because they were really excited to have someone like that. They had never really had someone like that. Outside of Ricky Williams, Tyreek Hill's one of the very few superstars that came over here and somehow got better.
Right. I mean, it had been since Dan Marino where the Dolphins actually had a guy who you go, this is the best player in the league at his position. We have what everybody else wants. That was Tyreek Hill after the first season. And at that time, it's almost a feel-good story in the sense that, okay, he had these problems when he was pretty young in college. It's been a few years now. He seems to be clean. We're going to forgive, right? We're going to forgive.
He had problems on the Chiefs, too. Look, we laundered him. Come on, man. Come on. Like, Miami did some laundering here. We know what this is. It's fast. We like it. It makes us feel good. We'll snort it. He makes the team fast. Holy shit. The boy genius on the sideline. Look what happens when you got a fast guy who's faster than everyone else. And he gets arrested outside the stadium, and he's knocking over people on a boat, and he's careening wildly through Miami.
Forgot about the boat incident.
Back of the head slap, yeah.
There's so many that we
Yeah,
forgot.
that's true.
No, but we laugh. No, look, I don't know how to do this correctly without telling you that I am embarrassed looking back at the last 3 years.
Should we get you a mirror?
Yes, please. You know what?
A rearview mirror, though.
I want to look in the mirror and be disgusted by myself. Right. Put a mirror right here, so in front of the camera, so I can just stare at myself in public self-loathing and explain to you just how embarrassed I am by what this show has done. I'd like to hear from Jessica on this because I have felt times talking about this that I am not strong enough, and I have felt that she has been maybe gentle in allowing our show to on Tyreek Hill specifically to let some stuff go that was that it felt from where I was standing like that would land on you as like, oh, these guys don't actually know how to talk about this.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone in Miami was thrilled about that signing. I think a lot of people, especially in the media, like to wash over the numerous problems that he had before he came here and just say like, well, that's in the past now, you know. They never found him guilty of this or that, whatever. But that is also, I think, the responsibility of the league and of the Dolphins to make choices about what kind of people they sign and of what kind of people play in the league. And time again, it appears, as we've seen with other athletes like Deshaun Watson, there's a pretty low bar. Like, there's a pretty low bar you have to clear, and then you can come back and play again, and people will buy your jersey and cheer for you. So I don't know what there is really to say other than that. Like, yeah, a lot of people do not respect women. They don't respect their safety. They don't respect their health. And so here we are. And this is not just a football problem. This is a problem in our country. It is a major issue. I don't want to get too political, but I mean, you look at all of the things that have happened in this country, especially in the last 2 years. It's not a country that respects women.
And there I feel complicit for however progressive you deem me as wokatard. And there I feel, honest to God, in retrospect, as insufficient ally in getting caught up in all the same bullshit that we always do in sports. And you and I are veterans, Greg. Like, look, to whatever degree, this can look and feel like grandstanding, of course. But Miami can't be proud that represents it. Like, wherever it is your sports allegiances lie. Really? We've got a guy in our huddle who just simply, I mean, I'm not being flammable on rhetoric. He's dangerous to women and children. Like, but in moralizing like that, and I'm sure I annoy a whole bunch of people, and somehow what Jessica said was political. You tell me how it was political. I know how it's become political, but that ain't political, what she just did. We beat our women. In America, domestic abuse is a problem. Lewis, I appreciate you trying the mirror. Look, no, please. I like this around serious subject matter. So let's just show everybody what happened there. Because Chris Cody, I see you trying to produce the show, but I also see Lewis in here with a mirror crawling around on the ground.
We got
There's
the
the
shot.
shot.
All right, I mean, the optics might be problematic
okay,
anyways.
so no, just put the mirror.
Because it may appear like we're making light of the situation.
But I know, I understand, but this is where we are. This is where we are. Don't clip this.
Yeah, talk to yourself. Take a good look.
Yes, just this is me talking to me here. It's not even talking to the rest of the room. I'm not talking to Jessica because I don't even want to look at her. I can't look her in the eye. Like, I
Well,
can't.
you never have been able to do that.
Whoa.
She ain't wrong. I've got a mirror that's sort of in front of me. So this is close enough. All right, listen here, Le Batard, Wokatard. You bitch. You've spent the last 25 years of your career looking publicly like an advocate for people viewed as lesser, crying for equality and whimpering every time somebody tells you, get off your high horse. You're self-righteous. You're out here virtue signaling for profit.
Yeah, don't look at me. Look in the mirror.
Virtue signaling for profit. Thank you. You coached me here.
Yeah.
This is the way to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
I like
do
the
it right
finger
here.
point.
You know
Yeah,
what?
I
I
like
do a lot
that.
of time blaming you guys for things while not being able to look Jessica in the eye. But I'm going to look right at me here. I have failed Miami as a journalist and gatekeeper like Greg Cody. Greg Cody, who advocated for a baseball stadium that made David Sampson very rich because it served Greg Cody. In the content business, Tyreek Hill is good for business.
For 1 year. Yeah.
We're in business. Locally, South Florida sports have stunk for a really long time. We don't get to be nationally relevant at anything. Why do you think we're so obnoxious about the Heat and still caring about a Tyler Hero shot 79 games in to a play-in game? Because the last 15 years have been desolate except for this one thing, and the Dolphins have always been, this has been a football town taken over by basketball, but the moment football is good, the moment Tyreek, I'm sorry I keep talking to you. I got to talk to myself.
you really
here.
do.
I'm
You gotta
falling
look
out
in
of
the mirror,
character.
Dan.
All right, I'm falling out of character. Le Batard, Wokatard, thank you, Lewis. You bitch.
Yeah, more finger pointing.
I don't know if you should call yourself a bitch in this specific
Well,
scenario.
I thought that part was funnier. No? It was. Thank you, Lewis. Your judgment is very solid from behind the mirror.
Point proven.
I don't like my allies here.
I like it too.
But you,
I like him.
Me?
no, I'm pointing at the mirror
Oh,
here.
okay. Say, what did I do?
I'm pointing at the mirror here. When I said
Cook.
I said allies, and it made me laugh, and I was looking for the ally joke. But Jess has me shook because now I don't know whether I can say bitch or not.
You should just call yourself a pussy instead.
Finally. This.
All right, hold on. I'm going to take another crack at this.
The mirror's gone. Oh, you need the mirror back? We got rid of the mirror.
We'll get the mirror back.
Yeah, look
We'll
in the
get- we'll get
metaphorical
the
mirror.
back.
Where'd the mirror go?
No, you got to do
We're
a
gonna
fake
get-
mirror.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
more like.
No. We got to do the mirror.
Can I get some producing on this so I could do it well?
Yeah, I'm just hoping Greg talks for a little bit so I can feed you lines in your ear.
All right, hold on. All right, hold
got
on a second.
fingerprints on it.
Hold on. Don't clip this. Don't clip this. Thank you, Lewis. There are fingerprints
Yeah, it's a
all
bad
over
mirror.
It's all right.
the
It's
mirror.
impossible
How
to
do you
hide
want
that.
him to
Lewis.
hold
It's all right.
Plus, there's a distracting sticker on the upper right corner of the mirror. Kind of an operation you guys run around here.
Lewis, just be the prop.
What are you laughing about?
Look, I can filibuster on this for a second if you want to give Mike a chance to give you lines. When the Dolphins traded for Tyreek Hill, I wrote a column, probably predictable, as you all might say, approving of the trade, cheering the trade, while also noting in the column that
No
this
way.
guy's got a little bit of baggage.
I can't believe you would do that.
Okay, he's got baggage, and we all knew it. And, you know, America is all about second chances and forgiveness. We love to think of ourselves as a country, as a people who give second chances. As a small example, in the Masters tournament beginning this week at Augusta, there's a player in the field, a former champion, who just got out of jail. He spent 2 years in prison for abusing women. Okay? That makes him a bad guy to a lot of people. And in reality, this guy did time. But does he deserve a second chance? Does he deserve to be in the Masters field? And there's controversy about that right now in golf. It's the same thing with Tyreek Hill. He's a troubled person. Okay, I don't know if that makes him a bad person. You know, a year ago, everybody loved Tyreek Hill. Okay, we were overlooking a lot of stuff. And now, in the context of him coming off a bad season that suddenly makes him seem like an old retread player, this is magnified what just happened. Okay, he's going through a divorce. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for anybody going through a divorce. But this is the bed he made. This is
Well, speaking of the
I'm
bed,
not apologizing.
All right, speaking of the bed he made, and thank you for the filibuster. I don't know how many kids he has by how many women, but it is fair to anyone who's saying that I am now choosing the perfect time to drag someone at minimum value. I understand your criticism. Let me get to my public apology for my part in this. Wokatard, you pussy. I want to apologize to everyone in America and beyond for normalizing Tyreek Hill with the Miami Dolphins at that F1 race where I took a picture with him. I wish to also apologize to my wife for the clothes I wore that day. I am culpable in helping launder Tyreek Hill to Miami, the laundering capital of the world, and to sports. And I do have to also apologize to Mike Ryan, the greatest producer in the history of producing, for telling me immediately after taking that photo with Tyreek Hill, this is probably going to age very poorly.
the clothes.
But Aaron Jones didn't get in any trouble. Aaron Jones, I took a picture with him too. That's the one that haunts me.
Yeah, we were smart to not post the Tyreek Hill one all that much.
Almost like you knew it maybe wasn't a good look.
Oh, yeah.
The outfit?
Yeah, the white shirt with those black shorts and those cook
really.
shoes.
It was a bad look.
The shoes were too high.
You can't wear a white
terrible.
undershirt to
As
a
a, as a
F1
regular
race.
shirt.
It was like blousey, but also snug. I don't know how you pulled that off.
Just terrible.
I don't know that I've ever been more embarrassed by that. I'm not even kidding you. Like, I'm thinking back to what that outfit was, and it's just because it was oppressively hot, and I needed to wear basketball shorts and something that wasn't hot because F1.
You didn't need to wear basketball shorts.
Shorts.
Were you
would've
playing
worked.
basketball?
But I had never thought for a moment, like, I don't know how it escaped my attention that this was a fashion pop culture event that you cannot dress that way for. Like, I don't know why it is I was wearing clothes that I would have gone and played pickup basketball in.
He thought Formula One was Talladega.
I don't know how it escaped my attention that Formula One was not Homestead. Because I'd be fine dressed that way for Homestead.
Well, you couldn't get on pit row. They require long pants and hard shoes.
The F they do. At Homestead?
Don't
no
they?
way. No.
NASCAR does. You can't get on pit row in short pants. Look it up.
There he
You're
is.
not going to look at me, Louie, but
Short pants?
I was on pit road a couple of weeks ago.
All right.
That was not going on.
All right, I wasn't, but hold on a second. Okay, so and now I'm looking at this picture and I'm realizing, oh my God, like I was feeling so fat, and so that was also my blousey. That was my blousey gear.
Yeah, but at least you're not the dude picking your wedgie.
That guy.
Who is that? Is that Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, wait, that is the dude from SNL.
It is.
Isn't it?
Behind
No.
Dan's shoulder. It looks like him.
I think so.
It also looks like Daniel Tosh, but it's not Daniel Tosh.
But it is the guy picking a wedgie.
Yeah, he's the only in date guy.
Marcelo?
I think
Telling me
is.
that looks like
I'm
Marcelo.
telling-
Zoom in,
That-
zoom in
that-
on that. Zoom in on that. Let's see.
That was before
What a
he was like even.
discovery.
This is years ago, right? This is
Yeah,
before
dude.
SNL.
That's
Look
a
at-
good catch.
Dan, he's looking at you. He's like, "That's Dan Le Batard."
That is.
Wow, nice glasses.
Good catch, Chris.
Look at that.
Look at that wrinkled collar.
It's Domingo.
Look at that wrinkled collar.
Yeah, the color's a disaster.
Oh
bud.
my
Yeah,
God.
it really is awful. But I love the fact that you're holding a water bottle as a prop to imply I take care of myself despite what I'm looking like.
Daniel Tosh looked like for sure picking a wedgie.
This is like the inception of mirrors. Like I'm
This is a
looking.
crazy photo.
No, that's Tosh. That's Tosh. Hold on.
Oh,
Not.
wow.
That was one of we knew that guy.
A young Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, that was a contact at Red Bull. But it's not Tosh. Wow, what a time capsule of a photo.
What a time.
Where's Stugotz?
Do you think he planned to just sit out the Tyreek Hill segment?
Did you tell him where you were starting and that's why you left?
No, I don't. Do we have cameras outside? Do we have?
I still don't see him. I walked by.
Is his car still there?
Well, what's his car?
You tell us.
Which loaner courtesy vehicle did he pull up in today? I'll go outside see if I see a decal somewhere that says.
Wait.
How would
Hold-
we have more
hold
information on this than you?
Hold on. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. What do you mean? Mike, hold on a second. I want to get a camera crew with you in tow. I want for you to do a live investigation of wherever it is that Stugotz is, if he is still in the building. I do not know where he is. I don't think he would get so sick that he would get here on Masters Week and then leave again. I think he's going to do the show with us today. That's a long drive that he made.
Yeah, I love that he planned a sickness though. That he told you yesterday. I think I feel a sickness coming on.
I thought it was to avoid the drive, though. I didn't think it was to drive here and then go home. But when Jessica says, "You tell us," no, I don't know if Stugotz is coming back or not. But I thought he was just stepping out for a minute, and so I'd like Mike Ryan to do an investigation to see where it is Stugotz is. I don't think it's. I didn't tell him anything about Tyreek Hill. We didn't talk about the show at all before it started today. So, what do you?
What did you talk about?
We talked about whether or not he wanted to work this morning. Yeah.
He looked like he was sick.
Well, that could give us some clues about where he went.
He also did the thing where he messed up shaving, and so he had to shave the entirety of his face.
Not a good look.
I felt for him.
I'm getting this sign from the other room. Like, I don't think he's here anymore. I don't
Whoa,
know what
really?
Let
happened.
me check it out.
Controversy.
And for the audio audience, I'm doing the throat where you're like, no, not happening.
I did hear tires screeching outside the studio.
It's a loud parking garage. You hear every
you
every
really
time
do.
you turn.
People go around that corner way too fast.
It's also it's
way
a squeaky.
too fast.
It's the ground is squeaky though. I don't think they're going as fast as it sounds.
It's the people that hit the corner going 45 and honk instead of slowing down.
Yeah,
That's
ridiculous.
what does it for me.
They should be arrested, those people.
Extreme.
Is it?
But Mike said it best. The press box has changed. I mean, seriously, get over yourself. We're going to talk during the post game. Tim Reynolds, enough. I mean, enough.
I mean,
seriously.
you just got to know when
You're
the
not
Dan Le-
allowed to cheer in the press box. Did you know that?
Well,
That's
I
a
did.
cardinal
They were cheering
rule
for
in
Will
baseball.
Manso. I think that's allowed.
And Goldie. Yeah.
If the Dan Le Batard Show comes to a hockey press box, hilarity is going to ensue.
Yeah.
They're going to yell at Will Manso for 7 minutes, and you're probably going to have to go to a
7
stairwell to
seconds.
write, man. Like, it's just...
If it was 7 minutes, I'd get it.
It
was
is what it
7
is.
seconds.
Exactly. I mean, David, everyone else was saying hi. They were enjoying the show. They were laughing at us. But one guy is still clutching on to his newspaper deadline.
I'm a little
and it's
disappointed.
Tim Reynolds.
And is he your demographics, too?
I don't know.
I happen to like Tim a lot, and
Enough of him.
I imagine this was going to be like E.J. Raddick or something, but that's just a bad look for Tim Reynolds.
Listen, I went up to him afterwards.
This was the best part. Stugotz is like, I've known Tim for years. I'm going to go fix this. He walked to Tim and walked right back very quickly.
Yep.
It was a very quick interaction.
Well, he was writing. Okay?
He's on deadline. It's
enough of the deadline.
It's a
we're on deadline. I gotta get home. I feel like playing hockey. I gotta get home. I mean,
yeah, we're on deadline too. We got to get that post game out.
It is a working press box. Tim Reynolds is a journalist who's trying to write, and Stugotz is back there. Hey, Will Manson!
That was Chris and Goldie. Don't leave out Goldie.
We're on deadline too. They're going to kick us out of that press box a lot sooner than they'll kick out Tim Reynolds, who's just typing away. That's just,
those writers had their game stories done before the end of the
Precisely.
Yeah, a good writer, right?
Oh,
what happened there? I apologize to him. I've known Tim for decades. I mean, Cody was done. He was out of there. I mean, you know.
What was that interaction like, Stugotz? Take us behind the scenes. You walk up to him. You say what? He says what?
I said, Tim, I apologize. That's on me. I should know better. Not Chris, okay? I should know better. I've been in press boxes before. I know you have a deadline. I apologize. And he said, that's fine. Just, try to keep it down.
That is way too long.
That was much longer than the actual conversation.
I always extend it a little bit.
Call,
I mean, you guys
can we
know
call Tim Reynolds and just ask him about what the interaction was like?
No.
Greg Cody's back in my day. Seeds.
Seeds. Seeds. Had a slice of watermelon lately? Popped a few grapes in your maw? Then you probably notice seeds are disappearing from fruit. And you probably see this as a good thing just because it makes life a little easier. We love us some convenience. In fact, it's a terrible thing, the de-seeding of us. Symbolically alone, the seed is the king of life. Adam gave his to Eve, and here we are, if you believe the story. If they take the seed out of humans the way we have watermelons, we're all dead ducks. Beans, peas, rice, coffee, corn, all seeds. Flour and oil started as seeds. All hail seeds. So what the hell is happening? In exchange for convenience, we are not valuing the seed's impact on health, biodiversity, and our food system. The genetic variability of most plants require seeds as essential to their evolution. De-seeded, artificially homogenized fruits rely on human intervention in the reproductive process, exposing the fruits to many pathogens. Plainly put, seedless fruits are not as good for you. They contain less fiber and have fewer minerals and vitamins than their seeded natural brethren.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I'm realizing in sinking into the sewage that is looking at that photo and being terribly embarrassed, I am now remembering that Mike Ryan was taking me to that big popular race so that I could move and shake with hugely important people. That's how I dressed, to be like hobnobbing in the most exclusive of areas with the celebrities, because Mike Ryan wanted to show everybody how Dan Le Batard would look post ESPN. And that's how he looked, ladies and gentlemen.
We showed him.
Yeah, I think Mike needs to take a little ownership of his admiring finger pointed at Tyreek Hill. Like, look at this guy.
That's not Tyreek Hill. Okay, this is, oh my God. All right, no, don't say it's your eyesight.
I don't have my glasses on.
Don't say it's your eyesight.
I don't have my glasses on.
Okay, get out of here.
There was no photo of Mike Ryan with Tyreek
lying.
Okay.
Just out.
My bad.
Out. Jesus. No, don't make it your glasses.
No, it is my glasses.
Don't make it your glasses. You weren't listening either earlier in the show.
What?
We said, get out.
What was said?
That Tyreek Hill photo wasn't put out publicly. You need to get out.
Oh, wow. I think it should be. I'll track it down and put it out.
You should break it. Mike, you should leak it to him.
I'm trying to see if it was ever on my phone. Random evidence of a cluttered blog item. Is that thing still around?
No.
Oh, what a run.
When did that die?
I think it died
like 8 years ago, probably.
Yeah, no.
Right?
I think when he's
Pandemic casualty
around
movie?
the podcast time, he went from now he does podcast.
Chris, you are so disrespectful to knowledge about your father's career.
Nah, I know of it. I've seen of it. You thought it was still here.
But I'm not out here. I look, okay.
I have found more photos of very clearly the SNL guy, though.
That was cool because he was like looking at look at these guys.
Wait a minute.
And now he would be the biggest star there.
Well, but can you guys please, what you're doing is really offensive. You say the SNL guy. Not only is he good, he's the one who did Immigrant Dad with Chappelle. He's representing Miami in young comedy. And he has a name, but I don't know it, and we're being really disrespectful by not knowing it. This is a person in Miami who should matter to people as a funny person bringing Hispanic humor to SNL. And back then, he was just a young man looking up to his hero who was dressed that way.
He's wearing a Lebo hat in this photo too. He was a big fan.
We should have him on, Dan.
Is that Daniel Tosh?
Has to be.
It's not.
Wait, there's a comedian from Miami that we haven't had on the show that's on SNL that went to the same high school as Billy?
That likes Dan?
Yeah. And he used to respect me, and I dressed that way. And there's photographic proof forever because the internet is forever.
I'm trying to get the video team to put up side by side what I wore that day and what you wore that day because, Dan, it's difficult to dress stylishly when it's 106 degrees with the heat index. I feel you. But there's a way to do it. And unfortunately, you failed.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do it, and I am embarrassed by that.
It's ELO, Dan. That's what you were looking for. That's what you needed to wear. Top to bottom, ELO, just everywhere.
That looks good.
Yeah, thank you.
And it looks also like you wouldn't
I was on ABC in that outfit.
That also looks like it wouldn't be 100,000 degrees sweating through fabric.
Yes. I'll teach you some pointers.
Well, my wife has.
F1's back in Miami in 3 weeks.
I'm embarrassed. Well, we've been invited to be out there, Jess. I asked about this. Do we know if Kristen has done anything? It seems like a very loud place to try to do this show. It seems like that would not be a great listening experience.
Not pun intended. I think the wheels are in motion for F1 Miami this year, Dan.
For us to do some stuff with them?
Yes. And now that I think about it, you started changing your personal style not too far after this photo was on the internet. Are those two things connected?
Well, no, what is connected to this, and I can't help but see it in all the photos, in all of the stress in my face and the fat, and this is when my brother was dying, right? So, I'm wearing it, and so I'm trying to wear a disguise.
It's Lebo's fault.
Well, and that's the
Chris
worst.
was trying to blame Valerie back here.
And
your shirt has a collar on it.
And that,
you're just learning that.
And the hat that I had on is the worst of my brother's hats, so I'm also embarrassed by that. But
you did a hat swap there because you were getting along so well with Marcelo.
Like a jersey swap, but a hat swap.
Yeah, it's like that meme in Vegas. These guys partied so hard they switched button downs.
I love that meme.
Still showing the water to show how healthy you are, like my dad pointed out before.
I'm still committed to the rock fingers too. I'm just going to do the rock horns all day, all right?
There's also tequila in that bottle.
Do you know?
Let's be honest.
Mike, I don't know anything about style, but and I'm sure that your style was a good one.
I came over from officiating intramurals earlier.
Beetlejuice.
Actually, that's a great point, Mike. We've retired that shirt since, right?
It might get back in the rotation. I've lost weight.
Were you wearing a blousey shirt too?
No, that wasn't blousey at the time.
Because that was my blousiest.
Fill that sucker out.
Look, I know Chris and his dad wore some of those shirts on that cruise. That was dinner. Whenever mom wants one night out, we're going to the damn cruise ship restaurant and you boys are going to dress up. I am certain that Chris Cody brought out one of the rumpled blousey shirts that fat man everywhere can identify with.
Where'd my dad go? I just realized that.
He got kicked out.
It's the penalty box. Does he not know how this works?
He's just chilling watching the show.
Does he not know that the penalty box, 2 minutes for lying, how does he not know how the show works? How? What does he do? Please explain to me. Producer, son, explain to me what happened with your father that he doesn't know a 2-minute penalty for lying and for making the mistake that two black men looked alike. When
I wasn't wearing my glasses, which I now have on. By the way, my favorite part of the segment that I missed was you uttering the phrase, the worst of my brother's hats, What's wrong with that hat? Why is it the worst of your brother's hats?
It's ill-fitting. It is a material that I don't like. Like
Did you hit the hookah like during the break? What happened to your
Luka
voice?
Dončić?
I mean, I'm out of water here. I can't get a water in this place. There's no bottled water. You got to drink it out of a tap.
Greg,
That's because your generation
We're
just
saving bottles, baby.
pillaged the earth of all of its natural resources. We're trying to save it one saved plastic bottle at a time.
I'm
Greg.
in favor of that.
Soon have less fluoride.
You're in favor of plastic.
Finally.
No, I'm in favor of water.
You know it's called the chemical, but it's a mineral.
Mike, I want you to assemble the Meadowlark team to do two things here, okay? And I want you live to do this with Greg Cody. I want to do this right now. I'd like a camera to follow our beloved Fossil into the kitchen to see if he can find how to make his own water. I just want you guys to go with him to see if he just said it's hard to get water when he's been sitting not in the penalty box for 7 minutes right next to water that could not be easier to get. I'd like a
tap water.
I'd like please.
Oh wow! All right. So normally I would say of course he knows how to get water here, but he stayed at this hotel yesterday and had no idea how to get to our studio.
Greg, let's do this.
There's no buttons on the elevator.
All right,
I don't need to have a live cam. We have enough cameras in place. So like,
Greg,
go
bring back water. But I want to do this as a test real quick because yes, Jess is right because your generation pillaged the earth, and we're trying not to have plastic all over the place.
Right.
And you say it's impossible to get a water in this place when I don't think there's anything more abundant in there than water.
Hey, be careful. You're in the same generation.
Okay, but I know how to get water.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
I know how to get tap water.
Good job, Dan.
Go. Let's follow him. Let's follow Greg Cody, even though this is visual. But I also, before you do this, I want an explanation.
Yeah.
You get penalized for 2 minutes.
Right.
There's a penalty box that is a visual accompaniment and aid to you sitting in the penalty box. They put jokes behind you. That is where content is made. Do you not know these things? Why did you go to another then just sit there?
No real reason.
Why are you not wearing your headphones right now when we've been
you were about to send me out to get water, and then you go on a tangent. You're going down a side street here.
Chris, why?
God, the voice.
Chris,
well, he's the one agitating me.
Chris, why is your father...
You can stop it there. I don't know.
I will move on with the show in a moment. That Luka Dončić story is a cool one.
Great story.
I just want to understand. Someone who's trying to help us do the show, I send him to the penalty box. He wanders out and then sits on a couch for 10 minutes and watches our show.
Yeah.
Watches us work.
Yeah.
When he's
Good segment. No, I enjoyed it.
Was Stugotz out there?
Where is Stugotz?
I did not see him. That's a mystery to be solved. TBS.
Mike,
Go get water.
Mike, can we get an update? Go get water,
Yeah.
and let me get to this Lucas story. Thank you. I'm sorry to our audience that this has been this discombobulated. I really don't know where Stugotz went, and I'm confused.
Let's reset. Call yourself a
by
pussy
my
again.
co-host.
Stouffer stovetop.
Let's try to hold the mic for him, guys, so that he can just be in his element trying to get water.
Yeah, just keep the camera on him and don't give him anything other than a microphone. I'd like some play-by-play from him on just how he intends to get water. And you guys have heard him several times say he'll just go to the sink and get tap water, right?
I wish we were doing this on April 1st so he could have gotten got by the bevy April Fool's jokes, Chris.
Yeah, he's the worst. All right, Dad, if you can hear us right now, start getting water. Show us your process to get water.
But hold the mic, Greg. Hold the microphone, please. Just hold your own microphone and be a professional broadcaster,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. First of all, I'm looking for bottled water. I don't see any. I see oat creamer.
Can't see Rose at all.
Baby.
Oat creamer. Ridiculous. I see Coke, Sprite, Miller Lite. That's tempting. Goat milk. Or oat milk. What is it? Half and half.
Yeah, we don't need to read every item.
Yeah, you don't
need to read every item.
There's no water in here.
There's a tequila that invented tequila.
All right, so look around. Now, if you were by yourself.
I'm completely right.
If you had to get water now.
I mean, there's tap water, like I said.
All right, can we hold on just for a second? Just for a second.
Comes out warm.
Lewis, do me a favor.
No ice cubes in here either.
Greg, stop moving.
Yeah.
Just stop moving. Lewis, please turn off I don't want him to be able to hear what I'm about to say next, so that I can lead him around the room.
All right,
got it.
Just simply take off your headphones.
No. I turned it off.
All right, cool.
He should not be able to hear me now.
The thing that I just want to tell the room here, do you guys think that he knows that the machine next to the fridge is something that dispenses water? Do you think he knows this?
No, he was saying he was setting up like.
He
right
doesn't
next to
drink
it.
water,
He
though.
doesn't. Yeah.
I'm surprised he's actually drinking water now.
He's like a lizard.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink water. All his fluids
It's
are
only
beer.
coffee.
It's Miller
Coffee
Lite.
and beer. Yeah.
All right, so he's getting.
Oh God, he's
getting
drinking
water
the
from
tap water. Oh my God.
I would
Oh my God, what are you doing, Greg?
Is the tap water in Miami not safe?
And no tap water safe.
Can I turn it back on so he can hear us?
8 to 2 pipe.
Yes,
bipartisan vote, though.
but hold
His
on.
generation already has lead poisoning. Also, to be fair, so.
Hold on, he's back in the fridge. We
That's
asked him
where
to
he
not
always
be in
goes.
Still
there.
no water.
But
He
we
can't
need-
not
we-
go to
but
the
we
fridge.
need him to be. We need him to get out of the fridge because he doesn't know. He's in a dangerous space and he doesn't.
He's right
know.
there.
He's right there. Hold on.
Oh.
Hold on.
He's
Okay.
like, what is
All right, turn
this
his
contraption?
ears on. Turn his earphones
All right,
on.
he can hear us again.
Okay.
All right, Greg, what do you got? Give us a play-by-play.
Well, this thing here, it's got flavored sodas or something: cucumber, watermelon, strawberry, lemongrass, but no water.
Okay, well,
What's your favorite flavor there?
No water. So you think that's a soda dispenser?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I don't see.
do you
anything
know
that
how to
says
work
water.
the soda dispenser?
Take it for a walk.
No. Do I just press a button, right?
What'd you pick, Greg?
You just pushed
Strawberry lemongrass, just out of.
Ooh, lemongrass.
You know.
Now, is there any like?
but no, he's got to press.
But there's no.
it
but
says
there's-
pour.
he's gotta-
There
oh,
we
there
go.
we go.
He pushed it once. He didn't hold it
holding
down.
it.
Tap
He
it.
just tapped it.
Yeah, hold it.
Yeah, it's touch. I think it's touch
The
sensitive.
little guideline says hold to dispense, but again, no water. Okay.
It
What do you
is
mean?
water.
That's water.
We'll
It's
see.
lemongrass.
Well, yep.
Strawberry
Taste it.
lemongrass.
You should try the
Taste it.
pineapple
If you
butter.
turn off the lemongrass, what do you think you get?
Wait. This is such a great thing. Greg, would you do me the favor, please, of just reading all those flavors of not water, even though it's the most delicious water the earth has ever known? Just read all of the
Yeah.
flavors, please, one by one.
Okay, strawberry sunshine, black cherry, coconut, cucumber, key lime, lemon, strawberry lemongrass, and watermelon.
Key lime water.
There's not more than that. That's all of them.
Look at the top though. Like
I mean, it says sparkling, light sparkling, cold, ambient, hot. Who would drink hot water?
people that want to make tea, for example.
Well,
Or oatmeal.
oat milk is more like it.
It's really not.
Do you realize that I'm not kidding you? Do you understand? I need everyone to understand what was just witnessed, okay? We sent
What's Dan doing back there?
Hey, mission accomplished though. He got some water. He didn't know it was water. And he doesn't I don't think he knows exactly how to get just normal cold water from that thing. That's
Nothing here says the word water. Nothing on this screen says the word
Did
water.
you just try to talk into your cup? You heard his voice was distant for a second. I'm pretty sure he held his cup up to his
he
mouth.
definitely did that.
Okay, why am I behind
Get
him
yourself
judging
a
him?
normal water.
You guys are amazing. In television, Metalark has managed to clone me, and now I am walking back behind Greg Cody, watching him over there, and I'm watching him from over here. And I think the funniest part of all of that, beyond us fearing that he would say the wrong sponsor's name while looking into a fridge, you have to understand that what I just sent in there, dangerous and reckless, was a
Oh, he's got it.
You led a horse to water.
It says watermelon. That's the only. I said earlier, water is not anywhere on the screen other than in the word watermelon.
Just fix yourself a normal,
I have to admit, it does taste like water.
traditional glass. Can you get yourself an unflavored glass of water?
Pour out
from
the
that
flavored
machine?
water. Pour out the flavored water. Walk back to the machine. Get a glass of normal water.
Surely there has to be.
Oh,
a
he
way.
poured it back into the actual bevy machine, which
Oh,
you're not
wow.
supposed to do.
You can't do.
No,
You're not
of course,
supposed to
it's
do
got a
that.
drain. I've got a drain.
Well, it says vitamin boost. Look at that.
Take that for a walk.
Okay, if I press sparkling,
what do you think will happen?
oh, let's find out.
Only one way to find out, Chris.
Is his cup in the right place?
Is this good content?
It's good water, I tell you that.
Now, how'd the water change?
Ooh, that's too much sparkling.
It might be too much vitamin.
Let me go light sparkling.
Don't keep pouring it.
Why not?
I mean, that's where he's going to pour it, guys.
Thank you. Light sparkling.
We're literally trying to teach an old dog new tricks.
Okay, but again, we don't know this is water.
What?
I'm going to say it's mostly water.
It's pretty good. No,
Greg,
that's good.
Greg, it's the finest of water. And what I love about everything.
It's like Arnold Palmer on the course. Let him cook.
That's great. Arnold Palmer. What a great interview I had with him years ago.
I'd like to hear that.
He wouldn't let me go. He wouldn't let me go. Seriously.
Talking into the cup.
Arnold Palmer wanted to be interviewed. Anyway, I'm out of material.
He was never actually able to pour himself a standard glass of water.
So I want to, forgive me for beating this joke to death, but I can't imagine how strange it has to be a fossil from the 1800s, open a fridge, and look into the future where people just refuse to drink milk made by a cow. And so Greg's looking into the future as his fossilized self and saying, where's the good stuff around here?
Where's the bottled water?
That's not good for the environment.
It's recyclable.
I'm sure you're going to recycle that the way your son does on the way out when he throws it in the staircase.
I recycle.
Yeah, I'm sure you've taught him, and I'm sure the Codys do a lot of recycling with everything like that bottle. We'll be very careful, both of them, to make sure that that bottle gets recycled.
Christopher will tell you one of the first parental tips I ever gave my kids was don't litter.
Which is why I left the cup inside.
Because do-gooding starts at the ground floor.
You're such a little shit, Chris.
It's not littering. It's inside. Look, we're not doing this again.
You put it on a staircase. You left the Starbucks plastic cup on a staircase as trash. A new staircase that didn't have any trash. Not even an old Miami staircase because you couldn't be bothered to put it in a trash can.
A lot of dust for a new
You
staircase.
threw you littered on
littering
on our offices.
Litter bug.
At some point, it became a science experiment.
It did. It started growing stuff. There was like mold and things coming out of it. And then Chris kicked it over.
Chris, would you get me a list, please, quickly, of top 5 tips your father has given you over your lifetime? Because that one you flagrantly disobeyed.
Yeah, violates.
You are not someone who has actually learned the few things your father has to teach.
I don't litter.
Well, yeah, we have proof. You're the only one we have proof of in the history of this office. You're the single employee that we have proof does litter. The cup had your name on it.
Yep.
Like it can't be more. Like it's not. I'm not a detective here. This was you. You did not do the crime in a way that was anonymous. Like we knew it was you. We spotted you. You came back from a vacation. We all called you on it. You've been proven guilty here. There's no room to maneuver.
I could have left it outside. Could have walked out that door and thrown it on the street.
Or there's a public garbage can outside.
There is no garbage can.
There's a garbage can in our office.
Yeah, but not in that stairwell.
That's the other thing. He took 7 steps from the garbage can. Like that's the other thing about it.
He literally had to pass the garbage can on his way to the stairwell.
That's correct. He had a little more ice in the cup.
That door's locked. Like if I walk back up, I got to knock on it to get back in. Like I'm just like, I'll leave this here. I'll get it in a day or two.
In fairness, there should be a garbage can in every stairwell.
There we go.
There really should.
You're walking to a public garage in Bayside. Surely there's a garbage can. Like surely.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for lying.
Chris Cody out of here.
I'm just gonna go sit out here like my dad.
I'll get it. I'll get it in a day or two. I'm gonna put it down here, but I'm gonna remember in a day or two. You can't remember a video I need that I told you about 4 minutes ago.
See if you can find Stu.
Luka Dončić in that story last night, a superstar making a basket with tears in his eyes. Regular season game, regular season doesn't matter. Regular season is stupid. Who cares? What I saw last night, the power of sports, the power of the story, is 2 human beings who probably care a great deal about being great at basketball, Anthony Davis and Luka Dončić. Both of them enjoying in the middle of like all our humanity the story that shocked us all so much. Hey, let's check out that regular season game. I want to see what Luka has to do in his return to Dallas. Will Dallas behave? Will we chant at Nico? Oh, this is a fun story. Remember where you were when everyone was shocked because what? Luka's been traded? Now, the humanity of this, making Dallas fans miss what they had because he has his best game as a Laker. Like the coolest game as a Laker. The game, Luka will not play many games the remainder of his career that feel the way that one do. Maybe not ever will he play a game that feels the way that one does. Because a couple months ago, we were all shocked. Now imagine how that shock lands on the two principals, Anthony Davis and Luka Dončić. Like, we were all shocked. We're going to tune in 2 months later to be like, or however many weeks later, how's this going to affect them? And Anthony Davis, one of the greatest basketball players I've ever had the pleasure of watching. You can make fun of him if you want. He's injured all the time or whatever. One of the 50 best I've ever seen. Reduced to the size of a postage stamp with the size of the night. And however it must have hurt if LeBron did indeed lie to him about I didn't know anything. Thanks for helping me the last few years. I'm going to go the rest of the way with someone better than you because business, baby, it's hard, huh? I'm going to just lie. Maybe I lied to you, maybe I didn't, but Anthony Davis probably hurt somewhere in there because there's a human being in there. But the Luka human being, and this one was so interesting to me. I'm not going to say this league is plagued by foreigners being greater at basketball than Americans are, but when people are coming over from other countries and trying to sell their personality to us in their second language, some of them, like Giannis, can do it and fight through it. Jokic doesn't seem to care too much about it. This guy, we don't actually know in any meaningful way except like, holy shit, that's great at basketball. Now, Dallas knows him. Dallas feels like it knows him because they have more of those little interviews and the little personality, and they know the reporting and they care. But the world knows Luka Dončić, but doesn't really know him. Dallas knows him, and Dallas has a relationship with him, and that relationship was shocked. Shocked in a way that people will not forget. Mark Cuban, brave and bold. I never would have done that, backing away from it, because Mark Cuban knows, oh, that's the power of sports. That's the power of connection. Oh, look, a regular season game. A guy does care because the fans have moved him with a video after, the Heat made that video real quick for Jimmy Butler. It was going to be longer than that, and then it was like, no, make it shorter than that. Let's cut that out. Let's get it out real quick. Dallas moved Luka last night, and he makes a basket wiping tears from his eyes. Are you shitting me? You're going to tell me these guys don't care? He's too fat. He's lazy. He got that good, fat and lazy.
That was a moment. You're right. I didn't see it live. I've seen it on replay 2 or 3 times. And that is the power of sports. And the Dallas fans should be proud of themselves for the reaction they gave to him, which moved him to tears.
Okay, but it's not just the power of sports. Forgive me for a second. It's the power of stories, and it's hard to tell them in your second language.
Right.
Like what's happening in that league with the greatness, as people say, I don't like Jokic's style. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's the most unstoppable thing that you've ever seen offensively, unless it's Luka. And these guys are distorting the sport. But at this moment, you've seen this guy play a ton of basketball. You know he cares. You've seen him emotional. You've seen him celebrate himself. You haven't seen him move to tears in a way that's just totally human. Totally human. In that sport where nobody's moved to tears, you got to be tougher than everybody else. You have to be you have to be physically stronger.
Easy, it's basketball. Stop. You're tougher than everybody else.
Mr. NASCAR over here.
Come on. Mr. Every other sport.
Yeah. Watch some hoops, buddy. How about you watch some hoops?
You know what they do?
Last night was special. Last night was a where were you moment.
I did watch
Where
it.
were you?
I watched it I was on my couch. Inter Miami had the main screen. Luka and his return had top left. Macklin Celebrini versus the Thrill Kaprizov had the other screen on mute. By the way, Macklin had a hat trick. He's going to be a top 5 player.
Last night was a where were you game?
It was a where were you?
No, it was a moment in time.
Where were you?
I was at home watching the game.
I made sure that the audio was on for the tribute and the start of it to hear Fire Nico and all the Luka chants. It's one of the few that sport has as we've covered for years now, has a regular season problem. It's not often where there's a regular season game that feels like you actually have to watch. They pulled that off. It took the dumbest trade in the history of the sport to do that, to draw my eyes to it. But yeah, I was there. I was locked in for it, and then it got put on mute because, there was another pretty great athlete in a sport that you might actually have to be tougher in physically. In soccer, that's right. Soccer, you have to be tougher.
All right, this is a basketball segment. Hold on. So, if I put you all the players in the NBA and I give you a choice, what player would give that emotion, right? With a trade, with leaving, with coming back. Dallas and Luka had a special relationship where the only thing we've really seen to that degree is when Klay came back to Golden State, where they had a very big celebration for him. There were the Captain Klay hats. Like, it was a very happy thing.
No,
what other player draws that kind of emotion?
I remember when Dwight came back to Orlando for the first time. When LeBron
that wasn't a where were you moment.
What? Do you remember the?
I do remember. Wasn't
the whole loyalty play that Dwight Howard
He
made?
just happens to remember where he was. It's different.
Okay. I was probably at home.
Okay, like Vince's return to Toronto. There have been big returns where everyone's kind of locked in, where there will be a vocal crowd. There's emotion attached, be it positive or negative. There are moments like that. It's not often, especially with Luka's in his prime. It's.
Let's clarify. It's a where were you moment for fans of the NBA.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't think I'll remember exactly where I was. I'll remember that I watched it.
I've got a top 5 of where were you moments in the NBA. You guys want it?
Is this on the top 5? Ooh, I want to find out.
I remember where I was when Dwayne Wade returned to Miami. We don't like to talk about it.
Could
but
make it. Could not. I don't know. Dan, you want the top 5?
I'm not sure if I want that top 5. I need to think about this for a second, because if we're going to rank that in terms of moments, I will say that Luka is going to have a career with an unfathomable a number of moments, and he will never forget that one. Like, that will be very high. Making a basket with tears in your eyes, showing America more of yourself than you've ever shown in a game we were all watching is the power of stories. It's not just the power of sports. Like, this sport has been great at trafficking in the stories, as we don't care about regular season basketball, introducing us to stars who have revealed themselves to us more than the guys in football. The NBA, to the degree that it has been altered by these physical freaks who have totally changed the way the sport is played and makes it more majestic athletically than it's ever been. Like, it's crazy. When I tell you that Steph Curry might as well be doing all of that on an actual magic carpet, and that he's doing it among giants like Giannis and Jokic, the whole thing is absurd. And this player, Stan Van Gundy, says the best offensive player ever. Hasn't been so with the Lakers. Try and figure it out with LeBron, the smartest player in the history of the league. How do I figure out how this fits and stop going 6 for 19 from the floor and 1 for 7 from 3, which is the stat line. It was weird to see the stat lines. Then he has his best game going back emotionally to Dallas. Like, has a game where you're like, oh, that's what it's going to look like for the Lakers for 10 years as soon as LeBron leaves, if he doesn't get fat.
It's an incredible moment. I can't even imagine what the tickets were going for. Although if I had the Game Time app, I'd probably know. Wow. That's right. This was the hottest ticket in town in Dallas, I assume. And there was probably primary market was long since sold out. But on the secondary market, there's only one place to go to know where you get the best deal. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Dan. For $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All in pricing, too. No surprises at checkout.
You know what I loved about that last night was that it changed everyone's perception about Luka. It humanized him. It made him likable.
What are you doing with Luka?
No.
When was he not likable?
I'm with
He's
Greg.
always been likable, though.
I've always liked him, but there aren't many connection points.
Right.
And that was that was Luka connecting to an audience in a profound way that we hadn't quite experienced if you just followed the sport.
Yep.
But I feel like we got that, like his interview with the Lakers the week after he was traded.
I
where
agree
he was
with
just
Chris.
Like,
yeah,
I was sad.
I think like the entire trade week was pretty heartbreaking, and we saw this level of emotion from him then. So to see him come back, I think it adds weight because we already know how meaningful the city was to him and how he was really just taken aback and stunned by the trade. So when he came back, they played the video for him. He was emotional, and then he ended up having a fantastic game. He played great. The Lakers won, and I think it just sort of like, at least in this season, solidified what an insane move this was for Dallas to make.
I think the other thing, too, is the sport moves fast, but he was single-handedly brought them to the NBA Finals last year, too. Like, that was his real, like, coming on. I was like, all right, this is Luka. This is a guy who can drag a team in Dallas who nobody thought would make it to the NBA Finals to the NBA Finals.
Oh, just so you know, the most surprised I was last year is when Dallas got past OKC, because I thought what OKC is this year is what they were about to become last year, and Luka's would stop that. OKC goes to Dallas, loses Game 6. I thought I'm like, OKC's better. Oh, no, Luka's better. Luka's more experienced, even though he's young, too. The thing that I found most interesting about all of this, though, in the center of it, the core of it, we were shocked when it happened because they traded the player. Luka and those fans are shocked because they traded that relationship. Like, that's the thing. It's not just, it's seismic as a transaction, lacking the humanity, where all of us are like, oh, holy shit. But what you tore apart when you tore that guy from that fan base disrespects the relationship. It disrespects what a sports icon can be in a community. And so the tears in his eyes, like, it's just the most human of how it is that you arrive at our international game being global when the guy in his second language shows you more with the tears in his eyes than he ever has in an interview.
I think the other thing, too, is Dallas having the history and the legacy of Dirk being there for 21 years. Dirk being the flag bearer for the Dallas Mavericks and for that city for so long, never going to another team, like being the international face of basketball for a long time. Luka was supposed to be that next step of the generation. He was going to be there his entire career, and it just felt like that was the lineage that all of a sudden Nico Harrison was like, we'll send you to LA for scraps.
What were the best parts and where it is that you guys enjoy the drama of Nico and the drama of just we're tuning in for the theater, right? Like the only things that matter about that game, the only things are there's one thing on the marquee. How does Luka do? And the second thing, a far distant one, and I'm telling you, it had to be hard to be him last night. Anthony Davis off in the corner in the shadows is like a small thing that was crushed by that. Like that man's career has been a really good career, and he's mocked as always injured and whatever else you say about him. And I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in there Anthony Davis doesn't actually become the player we ever expect him to, because we disrespect these relationships when we just trade guys like this.
Dan, as a question, the Anthony Davis thing, like is he not the exact player that we thought he was going to be? Like he's won a title, he's been an incredible player at NBA All-Star first team. Like he is who we thought he was going to be.
I thought he would be a little bit better, but I mean he delivered he delivered, no doubt.
I think he's a 10-time All-Star.
He's incredible.
No,
he
was
a great player.
He won them a championship by all of a sudden shooting like Ray Allen inside a bubble. I mean, no, he had a great moment that'll be remembered uniquely because of the bubble. But no, he's a great player. But he was like a distant third in terms of storylines. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he already have like the Mavs have played in L.A.?
Yeah, the Mavs played in L.A.
He had his moment. This was all about Luka, and then second place was Nico Harrison.
Oh yeah,
and the job that the director had to do in trying to track down Nico, who was hiding from the cameras, who was shielding himself with other people blocking his view, which was obstructed, but he still had to be out there as chance rained down continually. It's not just unique to that Luka return game. It's been going on all season. Hell, it's been going on at medieval times. Fire Nico. Wow.
Which still tickles me. The thing that got me, Dan, it wasn't anything that happened on the court. It was, well, I guess it did technically happen on the court. It was his interview after the game where he was like, I get to sleep in my bed tonight. Yeah. I was like, oh, my chest.
The stakes that we put on all of this stuff, I don't know. I don't know if anyone is going to. I don't know. Do people feel bad for Nico, or is he just punchline?
As like a human being, it would be terrible to have an entire city hate you because you did something that you probably are, I'm assuming, second guessing at least to some degree, and maybe if it does turn out that you did the right thing, it won't be for like 6 years.
No doubt.
And also, you still probably could have gotten more for it.
And let's just say there is a scenario here where Nico has taken all the heat for something ownership decided. Like he doesn't make that move without ownership feeling strongly about this. That is a move that you have to have your convictions about. And Nico is like taking the entire brunt of it as a new ownership group, which follows a very popular owner, just kind of lets Nico out to dry in this scenario.
I think it was more Nico than anything else. I think the Dumont family and the Adelson family have kind of like let him do his thing. He's had trades that have worked out in the past, but this one they were like, "All right, are you sure?
Well,
are you sure?"
But my point is, even if
I don't
that's
think it
not
was
the case,
management.
we wouldn't know. And like, yeah, there's a case there that he should just be wearing a hot dog costume the entire time because he's a person that did this.
Okay, but can we just for a second though, because surely you guys find this part of it interesting, I would think. In the construct of where sports teams connect to their regions and what it means to be a sports owner, Mark Cuban was a sports owner who not only loved basketball, but also understood how rare and valuable it is to have a star like that who already has a relationship with your city. So you go from that owner to Mark Cuban, one of the most powerful, richest men in the world in today's America, getting swallowed by an ownership group that's very different and is not going to respect that relationship or anything about it that way. Hey, Nico, you're in charge. All right, go down there and just do whatever has to be done to, like, let's make this a little, what? Too much hookah? Okay, get him out of here. He's been drinking beer. What? Yeah, no, he's a top 5 player all time offensively, and Stan Van Gundy says the best he's ever seen offensively, and he's 25 years old, and you need to have that for 10 years. Yeah, just trade that. And now new ownership does what? It really wildly disrespects the previous relationship, blasphemes against it, and feels like it doesn't care about its customers, so you get protests in the street.
And also, I wasn't saying this, but some people were saying Mark Cuban hugging him on the court after the game was a little look at me, Louie. I'm not saying that, though.
Why wouldn't you say that?
'Cause someone else said it.
Look at me,
It's been fun to watch Mark Cuban squirm around, just like, yeah, they own it now. I don't have any power. They did the bad thing. You guys still love me? No? Please?
But enough about this science. Bring back seeds because seeds are fun. Not to mention aesthetically and visually pleasing. Kids growing up today have sliced open a watermelon, have never sliced open a watermelon, and experienced the joy of seeing that juicy red flesh dotted with embedded black seeds. Nellie Doogie used to tell us if we swallowed a watermelon seed, a big melon would grow on our belly. It wasn't true. But as kids would make a competition out of seed spitting. You extracted the big seeds from the melon flesh. Tongue only, never fingers or a utensil, and you'd see who could project a seed the farthest. Every summer we did that. This was before video games, kids. Made our own games and toys. Flew a kite, kicked a can, spit a seed. Grapes were the real challenge because the seeds were so much smaller. We'd both pop a grape in our mouth, tongue moving, jaws in action, and whoever could spit out 3 seeds onto the table the fastest won. To this day, I carve real pumpkins and eschew the free fab foam and plastic fakes, mainly for the treasure trove of seeds inside. Hundreds and hundreds of them waiting to be scraped out, cleaned, and roasted in the oven to become delicious natural snacks. Respect, worship, and bring back the seeds. I need a t-shirt that says convenience is overrated. Insist to your local grocer that you'll take your watermelon seeded, please, and the grapes too. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Yep. Journalism is dead.
But journalism, as we know it, as you know it, what you wanted to do when you were a little kid, okay, it has changed. It has. It's changed, okay? You're not wrong. Stephen A. Smith is not wrong. You have to adapt sometimes, okay? Because the game has changed. Your priorities have shifted. No one cares how someone goes and gets the news that they get as long as the news is accurate, as long as it's coming from a credible place. If it's Woj, if it's Adam Schefter, if it's you, if it's Diana Rossini, if it's Shams, nobody cares. You might care. Greg Cody might care. Stephen A. Smith might care. But you know what? You all sold out. Every single one of you, okay? Stephen A. Smith jumped inside the circus tent. I don't blame him. Why'd he do it? Because he had to do it. Because the game has changed. You jumped inside the circus tent. You did. You did so with me. Think about that. With me and with Greg Cody every Tuesday, okay? And so you have ditched journalism a long, long time ago because why? Survival of the fittest, Dan. You have to change with the times. You have to roll with a changing environment, roll with a changing industry, and that's what you decided to do. That's what Stephen A. decided to do. And for Woj, for guys like him, the game has changed slightly, where he went out and he sought reports, and he wanted to be the reporter. And you know what? If now he has morphed into a mouthpiece for the Blazers, I'm okay with it. I am good with it. I don't care.
Survival of the fattest.
Everyone is selling out to make a buck.
What a terrible timing.
It was great.
Like that joke.
Hey, just give it up. You all want to be journalists. You're not journalists anymore. None of you. Not a one of you. Sorry.
You didn't even hear the joke.
I did. Survival of the fattest. It was great.
It just could have been done after Stugotz stopped talking, Dan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoehorn that
But
in.
I'm okay. I'm okay
You're
with
splitting
it.
hairs.
Right.
Okay.
You adapt, you roll with things, man. That's it. You know, Dan, you started off, if you're a driver, you drove a yellow cab and you were loyal to the yellow cab. You know what? But the game has changed to Uber, to Lyft, to private driving. And you know what? You have to ditch the yellow cab and you have to drive an Uber. Why? Because you'll make more money. Why? Because more people are taking Uber than the dirty yellow cabs. That's why. That's what you do. No one cares about journalism. You know what they care about? Laughing, being entertained. And you do a great job of that. And Stephen A. Smith does a great job of that. No one cares about journalism. People care about smiling. That's it.
You know, this morning I found myself while I was driving Claire to school. I told her, you ask a lot of questions. You should be a journalist. And now here in this conversation, I just, don't be a journalist. Like,
exactly.
Do something else.
It's over.
Sad.
You're going to let Stugotz parent your daughter. You think that's a good idea?
You think journalism is a good occupation to choose now?
No, I would not. Listen, not only is it not a good occupation to choose, I have looked around Miami and realized we're the only ones providing the jobs we're presently providing. I heard local TV reporters are making $45,000 a year.
Huh.
I couldn't believe that's how bad local television is struggling, that's the place that has arrived. And I told Chris Cody not to get into this business at all because it's terrible.
But Stephen A. Smith is making more money than he's ever made in his entire life. He has more power. He has more of everything than he's ever had in his entire life. You want him to give that up because of journalism? Like, get out of here.
I believe you can do both. You're being very
How?
You're being very absolute about this. First of all, he does. He does reporting, does journalism. He is very credible. When he gives information, it's not like Skip Bayless giving information. There is a difference. Skip Bayless also allegedly a journalist, but he's been contaminated by this thing and distorted by it in ways that are even more poisonous because he doesn't do any reporting anymore. Like, he doesn't talk to people in a way that's informed. Stephen A. actually goes to things, has relationships, and certainly when he's talking about basketball, if Stephen A. gives you information that's not opinion, you trust that it's informed.
No doubt, but every time he does that show, Dan, every single episode, his journalistic integrity, it shreds away. Little by little, piece by piece, it just does. He is doing a debate show debating the most ridiculous topics in the history of sports. Like, it has to affect your credibility.
Stugotz, it has happened.
And you sitting next to me does not help. I mean.
or my dad or Cody, because I said to myself, generations of Codys, because I did say to myself, this is one of the things I find funny about Stephen A. and thinking that he and I do the same thing, because once I got to PTI and it was argument television, I said I'd like to try to do it differently, but I guess that sounds highfalutin. I don't want to do debate shows.
The knuckleball is dead.
The Knuckleballers is dead now, correct? Completely dead. There's no one. Is there anyone throwing the knuckleball now?
Someone has to be throwing it.
I would say Tim Wakefield was.
None of us
bad.
have one. We're just like, yeah.
No, there has to
There's
be.
got to be. Well, wait a minute. The knuckleballer didn't go extinct without anyone telling us.
As long as there's breath in my lungs, there's a knuckleballer out there.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. As long as there is breath in your lungs, will there be a knuckleballer out there?
There should be more because if you notice, I mean, I don't have any stats to back this, but I don't care. I'm going with it regardless. I would say that the position players that are pitching have a much better ERA than average pitchers do because they're all just going out there throwing the ball like 35 miles an hour, and the hitters are so confused that they just get under it, they pop up. Like nary a run is scored off of a position player sometimes, but not always.
I loved when baseball analysis was starting strong. I loved the people who would do the analytics on how a knuckleballer would screw up your hitters the next day. The preparing for a knuckleball would screw you up the next day as well because you're sitting out there hitting those 45-mile-an-hour butterflies.
There's nothing that I hated more, like growing up watching the Marlins, than when Jamie Moyer was coming to play against them. And I don't even remember if he was a knuckleballer or if he could just only hit
it was just
75.
Slop. It was just slop.
He could
it wasn't
only hit
he
like
was not a knuckleballer.
72.
He was just old, and he threw croutons up
Anytime
there.
there was a knuckleballer or just an old man that could throw the ball really slow, I knew like this team can only hit fastballs, and this is going to be a long day and a long week because they're not going to be able to figure it out.
And it's frustrating because you're just seeing these meatballs go over the plate. You're like, how can you not deal with this? This is so slow. Hit the baseball. And yet Jamie Moyer had a 20-year career. He was 40. He was still pitching.
What is the ruling of the committee? Is Stugotz is nominated? I need some sort of formal ruling from the committee. He has nominated Joe Musgrove. Billy is passionately against. Chris, are you willing to give him horse status because horse status is before ace? Horse is not an ace.
Chris, before you answer, I have good news on the knuckleballer front. There is still one remaining. Mickey Janis of the Orioles is still throwing it.
Okay? The worst team in the league.
He's still out there, though, keeping the species alive.
It
will
also
not
seems
go
though
extinct.
Mickey Janis has only pitched one game in 2021.
Oh.
In Major League Baseball.
He's still trying.
Still breath in my lungs.
He is currently with the Chicago Dogs of the American Association of Professional Baseball, which I don't think is in Major League Baseball. So
it is extinct.
So it is extinct for now, yeah.
But extinct in the majors doesn't make it extinct as a
Hibernating, yeah,
species.
exactly.
This may surprise you, Dan, but there are only 33 pitchers who have ever thrown a knuckleball in a Major League game, according
that's
to
wrong.
Wikipedia.
That's
Which
wrong.
I was surprised how small that number was.
I don't think that's wrong, Billy. Why would you think that's wrong?
That's wrong.
Let's all name knuckleballers we can think of and see if
Well,
they're
no,
on
we'd
there.
never come up with 33 of them. 33 sounds about right to me. It's a terrifying way to make a living. Imagine all these guys. They're just failed pitchers who developed some other.
Whoa!
Failed pitchers.
Someone with like a 15, 20-year career is a failed pitcher?
Well, Jimmy Moyer is not a knuckleballer. You made him a knuckleballer just because he throws
Tim
soft.
Wakefield.
Soft toss.
Yeah, across decades.
There are a couple of guys who are exceptions, but largely the knuckleballer is a novelty freak who comes out, and it is hard to make a living that way.
Jeez.
Freak, what are you
I don't
doing?
like how you're describing these things.
Right?
Rude.
Isn't Phil Niekro in the Hall of Fame? I mean,
Is he? I don't think so.
you don't think so?
He is in the Hall of Fame.
319 wins.
There are 4 knuckleballers.
What was his career?
What's your
Baseball Hall
standard
of
for the
Fame.
Hall of Fame?
No,
He
that's
also
my
had
that's my bad.
274 losses.
No, that's my bad. He just pitched forever, and I should know that. And
Nickname Knucksy.
Compiler.
If you get
Knucksy.
that is a classic compiler right there. Phil
Dangerous
Niekro in
nickname.
the Hall of Fame with 300 wins and 280 losses.
Jesus, he pitched for 24 years. He
had a-
started 716 games.
He had a 3.35 ERA. I mean, that's legit good.
He pitched in Major League Baseball until he was
It's not.
48.
You're right, Stugotz. I stand corrected. It is my bad. I should have known. I think of Phil and Joe Niekro as the same kind of pitchers, and they are not. Joe Niekro was not a Hall of Famer, and Phil Niekro was. But go ahead and Google image search Phil Niekro so you could see
Please enjoy. I want you visually to enjoy what he looked like in a Braves uniform. And you tell me if that is a baseball Hall of Famer, the way that you look at bodies today.
It's like Christopher Lloyd.
You need.
He does.
He looks like
Doc Brown.
He looks like Gary Busey in that movie with Henry Rowan Gardner. What was it? Rookie of the Year.
He looks like a bit. Also, Gaylord Perry looked like this too. The old pitcher in the movie Major League, the old slop ball thrower. He's just an old man on the mound, is what he is. Jessica, what is your opinion here?
He looks like
That is
a
not
retired
him.
chemistry
Wait a minute.
professor.
That's him when he's still playing.
His hair is so long, and I think it's coming out of his ears.
He's wearing a polo under that shirt.
Listen to
That
me.
can't be right.
This is what.
He looks like Uncle Dick.
Listen, when you could throw the knuckleball
Uncle
the way
Dick got a
Phil
hole in
did,
one.
right?
He
Cody.
did.
You could pitch
It's the
forever.
ear hair.
Yeah.
Greg Cody's Back in My Day, featuring In-Flight magazines.
This is as angry as I have ever seen Ron McGill. His body language is infuriated. This is an everlastingly polite and charming man in public. He's very careful about how he represents the zoo when he's not embezzling money through his endowment that you guys contribute to in overwhelming fashion. What are you so mad about? Because you're over there with your arms crossed and you look a little like David Sampson. You look like oh, they're not on time again.
Just about 5 feet taller, though.
Touche.
Why are you so angry? What's the matter?
Not angry. I'm just tired. I was in Tallahassee all day yesterday and up and back in the same day. I didn't get home till 11:30 or so. Here at work at 6 a.m. So I'm just a little tired, And then I got a call to be on the show at 10:20. And what time is it now? Oh, it's 10:40. It's 20 minutes I've been sitting here.
So
He
what
makes a good point.
what are you fighting for in Tallahassee? You're not a politician. Tallahassee is a terrible corrupt armpit that has been swallowed in Florida and swallows good people like you are trying to help the animals and the environment. What were you doing in Tallahassee? Were you politically grandstanding?
Well, I was talking about animals. We had a couple of animals up there. I'm trying to drive this movement to get the flamingo named the state bird of Florida. Listen, I've got nothing against the mockingbird, but the mockingbird is the state bird of Mississippi, of Texas, of 6 other states. We have a potential here of having a bird that's iconic, that's always been associated with Florida, and it seems to be a no-brainer to me to make that the national bird of Florida, especially now since it's come back and it's staying here, which is a great reflection of great Everglades restoration, that the birds are coming back and they're staying. It's a win-win. So I'm just trying to help convince the legislators to pass a law to make that the state bird.
Are you going to win? Is it an uphill fight?
It's an uphill fight, I think, for this session, but I think we got a really good chance next year for the next session. But I wanted to at least help plant the seed. I was working with the Zoo Miami Foundation. I took the day off. I was not up there as Ron McGill from Zoo Miami. I was up there as Ron McGill from the Zoo Miami Foundation and kind of wildlife expert and just kind of talking. We collaborated with the Tallahassee Museum. They brought some animals over. They brought an owl. They brought an alligator. They brought a snake. And, I talked about that as the legislatures went through. They were in a session yesterday, and it was days. I was on a plane with all the commissioners, the supervisor of elections, the supervisor of tax collector, the chairman of the commission. They were all in the same plane. God, if that plane had gone down, that would have been a disaster. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Ron, is there a big mock?
Whoa! Ed, what kind of incendiary?
Ron, you were on the plane.
Wait a minute. What kind of
I
incendiary?
was on the plane. I would be no great loss.
Wow. What a mood
Wait a
he's
minute.
in.
Wait a minute. How angry is this person? I believe he just made a loud. Was it a political statement? Like, did he just say it wouldn't be such a bad thing if a plane crashed?
No, I just said if it went down. I didn't say we could have, probably all would have survived because we're resilient that way.
I trapped him. He was trying to do political commentary, and then he does that thing where he's like, "I wasn't there for Zoo Miami. I was just there for the Zoo Miami Foundation," as if those two things aren't just.
True,
I was there as
true.
Ron McGill.
That's true. As a county employee, I'm not really permitted to lobby for anything.
Oh, that's bullshit. No, but I mean, no, honestly, Ron McGill cares more about the animals than, you would have to take 2 trips to Tallahassee to get the bird change from mockingbird to flamingo, because you can't get it through this session. I trust you. Like, if you want it to be the flamingo, Ron McGill should decide.
Well, I shouldn't decide, but I will say, there are some representatives there. Representative Mooney, who represents us, lives in the Keys. He's a big proponent. He's the guy who's helping to drive this bill. We just got to get all the other people. But everybody's got an agenda, man. One of the things I realize when I go up there is that, what are you going to do for me? There's a lot of that going on. So listen, they're not bad people, but it's just part of the political agenda. That's why I could never run for political office. I would never survive.
Are you disgusted by it?
I'm not disgusted by it. I guess I shouldn't even say I'm disappointed by it, because it's not shocking information. It's just, I wish there was a better way. I wish there was a different culture when it comes to politics.
Ron, to change the subject, because I don't want to keep pissing you off like Dan is trying to do. Although maybe this will piss you off. I'm not sure. There was a big story that
the dire wolf. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yes, it is exactly what I was going to ask you about. So please clarify what these scientists actually did, because I read the story and it sounds like they used dire wolf genes to breed gray wolves. So they're not technically unextincting the animals, but that was sort of what the headline said. So please explain this.
Let me tell you what this is all about. This is all about kind of getting people's attention to drive money. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, the company is going to say, oh, no, we're de-extincting this animal. First of all, they're not de-extincting, because, as you mentioned, Jessica, they have just basically modified. This is a modified gray wolf. They've taken gene therapy. They've modified some of the genes. Maybe I think 15 of the gene sequences they've modified out of 2,000, thousands of gene sequences they've modified. And they modified it to get the color of the animal, the white that was known to be for the dire wolf, and an increase in size. But really what it is, it's nothing more than a genetically modified gray wolf. It is not a dire wolf through and through. Now, having said that, people say, well, even if it is a dire, let's assume that it is a dire wolf. Isn't this really cool? Isn't this really good? In my opinion, no. And let me tell you why. The dire wolf went extinct naturally because of Mother Nature, because of changes in the environment that evolved naturally as the planet started developing and changing. That's very different than an animal going extinct because man is shooting it, or man is, exterminating it for some man-made reason, whether it be habitat destruction, whether it be pollution, whether it be hunting, whatever that is. You don't correct what Mother Nature does. There's a reason. Extinction occurred for millions and millions of years before mankind ever set foot on this earth. And there was a good reason for it. It's animals adapting and environments adapting. An animal went extinct to make room for another animal that helped create the balance that is necessary and delicate. So there's an old commercial, you're too young to remember it. It used to be a lady comes out, don't fool with Mother Nature. This is a classic example of don't fool with Mother Nature. So I'm going to give you my personal opinion of what this company is doing. And this is not to say they're not getting some very important information that could be applied to science in the future. But this whole theory about, oh no, we're going to do dire wolves. We've got them in a secret location and we're taking care of them, they're protected. And they're trying to build up all this fascination, right, with dire wolves. Why? Because Game of Thrones. That was the animal in Game of Thrones. And what show had a bigger following than Game of Thrones? So now you got, oh, do you want to be part of Game of Thrones? Do you want to see real dire wolves? Well, we've got them at this secret location. And they're going to keep on doing this. The next thing they want to do is the woolly mammoth, right? So let's see what happens. You want to build that up? I'm telling you what they're going to do. They want to build a little Jurassic Park, so to speak, and have a ton of money. They've already had a ton of people invest millions and millions of dollars in this company because people see the return. The return, kind of like, come see these animals, like you used to see freaky animals in a circus, right? In a freak show, or just like the movie Jurassic Park. How did that movie begin, right? Oh, the dinosaurs. Oh, this is beautiful. Going back in time. How did it end? Okay, this is what you're looking at. This is what you're looking at. Do not fool with Mother Nature. There's a reason why animals go extinct. As long as it's not some accelerated thing due to man's abuse and man's neglect, leave it be. Do not try to change something because Mother Nature doesn't make mistakes. We make mistakes, but Mother Nature doesn't make mistakes. And if we start thinking we're going to start bringing back these extinct animals just to pander to people's fascination for something that, oh my God, I want to see it. I want to be the first, because we have this fascination with these things that, have so been glorified over the years through mythology and stuff. All of a sudden, you're going to open Pandora's box.
Well, I was right. I knew this was going to piss you off. I did see that they were, like you said, in a secret location. So is the point to breed them to say they're unextinct or whatever it is? Inextinct, I guess. But then they're just keeping them in captivity because obviously you can't introduce these wolves to the wild, right? So ethically, that's
right.
very dubious, I would assume.
That's right. You can't introduce these wolves to the wild. But hey, what's going to happen if one escapes? Oh, like the fencing in Jurassic Park goes down, a dinosaur gets out, no longer control. Oh my God, what are we going to do now? What if? Guys, do not fool with Mother Nature. I'm sorry, I'm banging the table, making things shake.
Ron, what is an example of an animal that is gravely endangered, near extinction, or threatened with extinction, largely because of man's abuse, where you would be in favor of bringing that animal back?
Some of the species of tiger, the Sumatran tiger, the Adax. I mean, there's approximately 300 of them left in the wild, and we're killing them off or removing that habitat. I would bring those animals back if we could have the habitat that they need to survive, because that habitat is all part of this balance that we have as a planet. People talk about countries and, political boundaries and stuff. Animals don't have political boundaries. When they migrate, they don't, bring their passports and check in through immigration. All this stuff is a very important balance for the entire health of the planet. It's our own health by protecting these animals. So when we have some of these animals that are in grave danger of extinction because of things that we've done, yeah, I would support trying to protect them with this type of knowledge, this type of science.
Ron, going back to the colossal bioscience situation with the woolly mammoth, I think is a little bit more interesting too than the direwolf, because they were basically extracting those genes from like particles of teeth that they found in caves from 30,000 years ago. Obviously, we have more DNA, we have more stuff from woolly mammoths because they're much closer to the time that we live in now than those direwolf fragments or whatever that they found in some cave. Mm-hmm. Is that closer to being an actual woolly mammoth that they would recreate? Because obviously the direwolf is a little bit further back. Would they actually be able to recreate a woolly mammoth?
Well, I don't know, Tony, what specimens they have. I do know that they have found entire woolly mammoth calves frozen in ice as if they died yesterday. So obviously there's been some good tissue, some good DNA preserving going on there, which would provide them with more material, I guess, to extract from. I'm not a geneticist. I can't tell you how that's done. But assuming they could, I still don't think it's a good idea, even though 99% of the people say, oh my God, I just want to see one alive moving. Again, this is dangerous, guys. This is dangerous. Go to a museum, look at the bones, look at things as they were, and realize there was a reason why they became extinct.
Chris Cody was whispering to me the entire time, distracting me from all of this historic knowledge and righteous indignation that you have, because he kept saying,
I always thought it was great danger. Grave danger? What the hell's that?
It's look it up, Cody.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the way it's said.
But I think great danger works too. This is some.
They both work.
Some
listen,
great
there's
danger
many
here.
words that could be substituted to mean the same thing. That's what we call synonyms.
Some of you never saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, and it shows.
Great and grave are not the same thing. I would imagine that Greg Cody is mortified by how little his son knows about words.
I mean, they're similar in context. They're often used interchangeably.
Thank you, Dad.
But a grave situation is a situation where peril
where
exist.
I might end up in a grave. Is that what we're doing there?
No, it really
grave.
is.
We got grave.
No.
It's a grave danger.
No,
over
see,
here.
you're looking at the word literally. A grave situation is a situation with danger, with peril involved.
The author has spoken.
Ron, can you forgive me for my ignorance here? I only have pieces of information, but Valerie exclaimed yesterday that within the last couple of years, I think it was an old news story, an underwater T-Rex had been discovered, and I did not know that was a thing. Like, did you know that was a thing?
I don't know of an underwater T-Rex in such that a T-Rex that lived underwater. I know they have found fossil records of T-Rexes that are now submerged, but that's because when the T-Rex died, it was not necessarily land that was underwater. As the Ice Age diminished, sea levels rose, and therefore you had bones that might have been on the coastline or something that all of a sudden now are underwater. It's like the state of Florida. If you walk in the state of Florida, you dig down 6 inches down here, you'll be in a coral rock because this was originally all underwater.
There's no underwater T-Rex, man. Now
Did they swim?
They could swim. That's a misnomer because the small arms. But
it would be hard to swim.
But
I can't believe the T-Rex
I don't think they
swim.
could swim. And there's no such thing as an underwater T-Rex only because there's no reptile that lives underwater.
No, but wait a minute. If a T-Rex can swim, then there is such a thing as an underwater reptile.
No. It just makes it a reptile.
I don't think it.
It's presently submerged. Dan.
Listen, Dan. I'm gonna tell you just from the fossil record. Let's look at the fossil record. Let's look at the bones of a T-Rex, which we know exist. That's not something we have to make up. That animal could not swim. That animal could walk in deep water. You've all probably seen the illustrations of dinosaurs in the water, grabbing things out of the water. I don't know why the T-Rex would go in the water because it was a carnivorous reptile unless it started feeding on, marine mammals of some sort that may have existed at the time, which I don't think they did. I don't know. I didn't live back then. But
Cody did.
Certainly a T-Rex could have waded into the water. It was a tall animal. It could have gone into deep water. Why is Cody laughing like that? Is it just this whole conversation is going south very quickly?
No, Cody lived back then.
Yeah, he made the usual reference about me being from prehistoric times.
Dan, if I'm swimming in the ocean, I'm not an underwater human.
You are underwater when you're swimming. There's no disputing that. None of you are not swimming
but you don't
under
but I'm not
the water.
called. Yeah, but you're not making a ruling on an entire species based on him, having
got
a few
partial
Ritas
information. I was half
in the surf.
listening. I got a lot on my mind. I was half
Well,
listening
listen,
to what my wife explained.
a million years from now, there could be a race of a new species of intelligent beings after humans become extinct. And they could find human bones down under the water in the middle of the Atlantic and think, oh, look at this. There were underwater humans.
Ron,
there might have been the wreck of the Titanic. Who knows?
Forgive me. The segment got away from me. I've got a bunch of video here I didn't get to. But we do have a video that I wanted to show you to continue this uncomfortable thing of where we show you your son's work. Now, your son, Sean, has been hired as a mercenary, a hired gun, to make a couple of things for us, and I have not seen them before they air. I don't trust anybody with that. We trust your son here. He's making things, and he went out with the Codys because Cody said the other day that he would be a great professional actor. All he would need was a couple of classes. So we said, all right, let's try this. And then Greg Cody went with Sean McGill and his son, and they took an acting class. And later that day, Greg Cody got lost in the Elser Hotel because it doesn't have buttons on the elevators. And on the way to work, after sleeping in the hotel, he wasn't able to get to work. So your son didn't have much to work with here in terms of both intellect or self-awareness. Are you ready for this video of Greg Cody and his son taking an acting class, and to tell me what you think of your son's work?
Probably not, but I'm going to guess I'm going to watch it anyway.
All right, put Ron in picture so we can see whether he is proud or dismayed as we watch the Codys together take an acting class.
Where are we? Hey, I'm Greg.
Nice to meet you. You ready for a class?
Why not?
This man said he could be an actor, and we put him to the test. We were at an acting class.
He's got his hair combed. That's nice.
Yeah. How are you feeling going into it?
Obviously, people know about my acting background.
Okay.
The idea that I'm here for an acting class is a bit demeaning in the sense that
we're going to do the extra
you
thing.
go back to 1980. Okay, I'm a Miami Herald writer for my whole career. A very, very popular film called Absence of Malice is being recorded at the Miami Herald building.
You were an extra. We don't need a whole long
Sally
story here.
Field, Paul Newman.
Not you.
The late, great Sidney Pollack. I have a big scene in a near background shot, and the rest is history. And so 40, 50, whatever, 50, 45 years later, I'm here to take an acting class just for fun.
Today is going to be fantastic. We're going to do a little bit of breathing. Let's breathe. A warm up. A little bit of energy, guys, that we need for the class today. And then a little bit of improv.
Oh, doctor, do you think my breast implants are good?
Great.
We're going to start with a little bit of breathing, as you know. Breathe in. Breathe out. Release. Release.
So, we're gonna go to improv, okay? So we're gonna do a couple exercises, okay? Rule number one, guys, let's say yes to everything, okay? Greg is trying for the first time. I need 2 words. Ooh. Breast implants, that's 2 words, but that's okay. And pineapple, I love that. Okay, let's go. Oh my God. Let's go. Sir, when I say 3, 2, 1, improv, whatever comes to mind, guys.
Tough spot.
3, 2, 1, improv.
So, doctor, do you think my breast implants are good or they need to be bigger?
They look fantastic as is. How do you enjoy them?
It's awesome. My clients say it's awesome.
I feel like you wanted bigger. I feel like you wanted pineapple size.
Pineapple size?
Yes. Is that possible? Is that true? Because I heard that rumor.
You're the doctor. I don't know. You told me.
No, I think they look fine as is. They're like small pineapples.
This is a classic one, but it's really fun. We are in an elevator right now. The elevator is just gonna get stuck. Action. Oh, you guys okay? Yeah.
We're stuck.
Feels like non-movement.
Wait.
Try to call. Try to.
What's going on?
Okay, you're way too skinny for that.
Okay.
You're way too skinny for that. Your baby.
Oh my God. I'm hungry.
Having a baby.
I'm hungry. Anybody get a burger?
You need to get the baby.
Okay.
You need to get the baby out.
I'm gonna do that. Okay, I can't do it because I'm the father.
No. Walter?
Yes.
Walter? Wait, you know him?
Yeah.
Stewart?
I am Walter Stewart.
What? You're my biological father?
Son.
Great job, everybody. Great job. Follow the music and follow each other. Okay, guys, give yourself a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Part of the class, we're gonna do a little drama.
Oh, I'm the bad guy now. Cute. You bring me in here, stare me down like I'm gonna break. Spoiler alert, I don't crack, Jack. I was home, cold pizza, listening to the Greg Cody Show podcast. Hey, I'm being honest with you here. But yeah, sure, let's pretend this is all on me.
You have to give that life to the character.
Sure.
So let's imagine. How did you wake up this morning?
I would think I'm either feeling guilty because I know I've done something to attract the police, or I'm feeling apprehensive because I know someone who knows something that may involve me in this.
Okay, so let's say that let's choose the second one. You are worried. Let's do it. Now I'm making sandwiches.
You're coming at me like I'm guilty of something. I'm not accused of anything. I mean, you come into my house. I could have come down to the station later today. You come into my house. You treat me like I'm going to break and start sobbing. I don't break. Okay? I'm telling you the truth when I say it was around 8 p.m. I mean, I was home last night eating cold pizza, watching Law and Order by myself, alone with my thoughts, doing nothing wrong, but you're pretending all this is on me.
Okay. What did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved some of the information you provided as far as bringing something into the scene, something more than just as what's written on the page. I thought that was wonderful.
I have to say,
yeah,
you impressed me. You were funny.
Okay.
You had some serious moments.
Yeah.
Some sexual topics that made me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, okay.
But how'd you feel it went?
It was amazing. It's more than I expected. Like, you know, I'm not a dancer, so the dancing beforehand was a little weird.
I wanted you to
but...
throw a few more curveballs. I feel like you were just playing ball. I wanted you to take it and...
Okay, I threw in a Greg Cody Show reference, podcast reference, so that's about all I could do.
You're tired. This guy's been acting for like 2 hours.
I'm telling you what, I need to uncork a,
Okay, all right, that's good.
Okay.
Jessica, your head was in your hands the entire time because of why?
Because he was just playing Greg Cody the whole time.
Well, that's why he loved it so much. He just got to be himself in front of people. It's a total narcissist affair with a mirror. Like everything, and you did something vulnerable. You did something that's hard to do. You forgot your line. I think you were supposed to make something rhyme with Jack.
I forget what that line was. I don't crack, Jack.
There it
was
is.
the line.
Ron, how did you feel about your son's work?
Well, whatever you're paying him, it's not enough, number one. But as far as Cody's work goes, There it is.
Oh wow!
Look at
What
this.
is that? What
My
kind of
first
what?
Emmy.
What award? Is that what that is?
An Emmy.
That's an Emmy. I've never won
Damn,
one of those.
I proclaim that's for Greg because it was absolutely Greg.
I was trying to get to the joke. You did the joke
I
before
literally
I did
hopped
the
up.
joke.
I'm like,
Ron,
Dan doesn't know what that is because he's never won.
Ron, thank you. Good seeing you.
Bye.